Allah, Yahweh, Allah Haganawa, Yahweh, Ahad, Shemai, Yasha Allah, Shemai, Yasha Allah, Allah Haganawa, Yahweh, Ahad, Rocket Yahweh, Rocket Yahweh Shai, Rocket Yahweh, Rocket Yahweh Shai, Rocket Yahweh, Rocket Yahweh Shai, Bahashur Hahakudash. I also want to give double honors to our elder apostles and elder bishops of Great Millstone Ruel, as well as peace and blessings, health and wellness to the house of David the elect. On the high spirit wind lawyer. And today I want to go into a topic within this live stream entitled Deprivation Heals the Spirit. You know, as we go through our lots, all right, as we go through our lots in this truth, as we figure out the evils for our soul. All right, we also figure out benefits for our soul. All right, we meditate on the things that hinder our spirits, the things that, you know, play tug of war with our soul, as it says in Galatians. You know, the spirit warreth against the flesh and the flesh against the spirit. It's like tug of war, okay? Tug of war, okay? And, you know, you realize that the things that help neutralize the flesh, all right, is a form of deprivation, or you just being in this truth, and you just involuntarily go through deprivations. But the scripture says, the Most High maketh the man rich, and he maketh the man poor. He maketh you rich, he maketh you poor. Life and death is of the Most High, poverty and riches are of the Most High. So when you go through this truth, a lot of brothers, they suffer from some form of necessity. The Apostle Paul said that he went through necessity. All right, you're going to go through some form of deprivation. So you might not have abundance, or you might not have excess. All right, you might have the bare minimum, but being in the state of always having only the bare minimum, all right, can make you feel deprived. All right, you going to bed at night without a woman, all right, that's almost the ultimate form of deprivation. Some brothers have certain vows they've made that cause them to be deprived of certain things to the spirit. Some brothers, once again, may not make a lot of money, all right, so you can't buy those delicacies that your flesh or your soul desires, all right. But there's a method to the madness. You know, there's beauty in the struggle. Like J. Cole had this song called Love Yours, and he was just talking about the beauty in the struggle. All right, and there's beauty in the struggle. There's beauty in suffering. All right, because suffering cleanses the soul. All right, suffering means that your flesh is not getting what it desires. But the book of Sirach, I think it's the 37th chapter, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but it goes into the nature of the flesh. It has an insatiable appetite, and if you feed it every time, it's destroy you. Now, the scripture says, be not righteous over much. The scripture also goes into being temperate in all things. So the ultimate form of balance is moderation, all right? But the Most High puts you in certain states. He puts you in states of being deprived, because that form of starving out the flesh, it strengthens the spirit, all right? We didn't come into this truth and become men. We came into this truth to become men. We didn't come into this truth and become perfect. We came into this truth to become perfect. All right? We came into this truth to become perfected. All right? But you still had to go through a process. All right? And I know, all right, with confidence, that deprivation is one of the tools that Yahweh Bahashim Haroshai uses to masculinize you and to make you manly, to make you dominant, to make you stronger, all right? Conversely, always indulging in things that pleases your flesh, it makes you weak. And you might have a certain bravado about you. You might have a certain, you know, dominance about you, but inwardly the inner man is weak, to where you're just always carnal and you're not spiritual. Being carnal is not a gift. You know, Babylon and black culture have you thinking that being a nigga is a gift. Always living in the flesh and being in the flesh, that's some type of flex. No, that means you're you're dead, man. The scripture says that she that liveth in pleasure is dead while she liveth. And when you're in the flesh, you're always seeking some type of fulfillment, and the flesh is never satisfied. And when you first come into this truth, the first thing you have to do is put your body under subjection. And it is not easy. You're going to lose battles. You're going to lose a lot of battles. But your fight is to put your body under subjection, because that's the only way the spirit opens up. That's the only way you receive your gift. And Satan is always going to war with it. Satan is always going to war with us. All right, so we could be in the flesh, because the flesh is the devil's playground. Lust is the devil's playground, or just anger, whatever. Being in the flesh, that's his battlegrounds. And as long as you're in his battleground, you're going to get your ass whooped. And I'm just telling you. All right, none of us are the red Power Ranger here. We're all going to get our ass whooped by Satan if your house outside, dwelling within us, man. You can't. We can't beat Satan in his territory, which is the flesh. So being deprived, some type of deprivation, it is a form of suffering. It is unpleasant, but that unpleasant is a gateway into being more in the spirit, to being more stoic, to being more humble, all right, to being grounded, all right, to being more pure, and it's just that simple, But from that perspective, deprivation is a powerful tool. And that's not the scripture says, once again, be not righteous over much. So don't freaking get rushed to the hospital because you ain't ate in 62 days, man. All right? Some brothers can go on those extended fasts and those extended cleanses, and some can't do it so much. Or some of us have to build our way up to doing an extended fast or an extended cleanse, or, just purposely depriving yourself of certain things. You got to know yourself and learn yourself. But just in general, deprivation, that frees the soul, because, for example, when you go on a fast, that's like dropping an atomic bomb on your flesh. It's like dropping a nuclear bomb on your flesh. It just neutralizes everything, man. Because fasting is a weapon against the flesh. It's a weapon that you attack the flesh when you fast. It's an assault on the flesh. And once again, when you go on a fast, it's like dropping an atomic bomb on your flesh. Cleansing, praying is an attack on your flesh. All right? And Satan can have you so entangled in the flesh that you don't even realize that you're losing. You don't even realize that Satan has been ventriloquist to your life, and he just got you doing all type of crazy shit, and you don't even realize how bad it really is. Because when you're in the flesh, you're basically like you're drunk. You be in the faith, Get this off of look. That's why the scripture says, examine yourselves whether you be in the faith. There's always something going on in this little section right here. There's always something going on. But yeah, that's pretty much the point, man. Deprivation is a gift, and it strengthens your spirit. Think about when you're on the fast, and that part of the day, whether it's an intermittent fast or a 24-hour fast. Think about those times where your stomach hurts. That hurt, that pain, that suffering is strengthening your spirit, and it's cleansing your spirit. All right, just that pain, it's like when you're working out, right? It's not until you really feel that pain, until you really stressing your muscles and forcing it to, develop. It's just that simple, Like, not having a woman is a tool from the Most High. Because that's the main suffering. Let's just be real. The main suffering is when you going to bed and those needs ain't getting met. Hey, what's this song? If you think you're lonely now, wait until tonight. But then he said, when them needs come out, yeah, when them needs come, man. When those needs come, but that form of depriving yourself, whether it's on purpose or not, you know, it's purifying your spirit and it's strengthening your spirit. And I'm not just saying it to make brothers feel better, you know, it's strengthening your spirit. A woman's energy, a woman's spirit, it's like wine. You know, wine is there to de-stress you and it's there to calm you down. But if you're always at the table with wine, it makes you weaker. It makes you weak. Wine is good as life to a man if you be drunk in moderation. But if you're always at the table, it makes you weak and it kills your acuity. It dulls your knife, your edge. All right, same thing with a woman, you know. And some brothers have different situations, you know, but just in general, that female energy, you know, it's cool to be around it at intervals, you know, but to always be around it, you know, to always be in a state of indulgence, to always be in a state of, pleasure. You know, you're always pleasing yourself. You're just exotic and erotic, you know, just erotic nature. Well, that makes your spirit weak, man. To always be at the table, to always eat. You just eat, you know. You don't have a cutoff time, you know. That makes when you overfeed your flesh, your spirit is weak. And the average black person, I'm gonna call you a black person, 2/3 of our people are black people, okay? They're addicted to the things I just said. They're addicted to sex. They're addicted to food, you know? And those of us who might struggle with that, well, there's tools of deliverance. Scripture says, such as but with the temptation also create a way to escape. And I know it's easier said than done, but don't make excuses to get your ass beat by the flesh. Strive to resist the flesh. Because if you make excuses to please the flesh, your life is gonna go down to ruins. And just you might win the battle, so to speak, but you're gonna lose the war. You might please your flesh temporarily, but you're gonna lose the war, man. Okay? But we all in the flesh, and you're not gonna be perfect, all right, at all. But you gotta have direction in this truth, and have a purpose, man, to where you're striving to be in a certain direction, striving to be in a certain spirit, man. Because Satan is an MFer, man. Satan is a mug, man. All right. You know, but once again, deprivation, that heals the spirit, man. Deprivation, I mean, you know, it's somewhat a gift. You know, look at people who live in the city, right? Look at people who live in the city, right? They don't have vehicles and they gotta walk everywhere. Well, they're probably healthier than people who drive everywhere. You know. But when it comes to this truth and your purpose in this truth and the fight for salvation, deprivation is a gift that masculinizes your spirit, it purifies your spirit, it strengthens your spirit, all right? Because our calling as the elect to be more in the spirit than the flesh, okay? But, you know, we're in this flesh. And like I said, you're going to lose certain battles, but you can't make that your normalcy to just always be in the flesh. And this is just a reminder and encouragement and exhortation, man. Because we're all in the trenches together. Okay? But with that, I hope you were edified. Once again, I want to give out honor and glory to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Rakahakodash. I also want to give double honors to our elder apostles Elder bishops of Great Millstone rule well, as well as peace and blessings, health and wellness to the house of David the elect. All right, let me see. Hey, Shalom, Romans 8 and 18. All right, spiritual combat. Shalom to you, brother. And with that, to the next time, Shalom.